So I've sat down to record this video about 5 times, and every time I come back to it, I cringe just a little bit and realize the script I wrote isn't funny. So I'm just going to be winging this one because otherwise it will never see the light of day again. So to kick off this channel, this will be my review of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. It was my first Souls-like game, and man was it just beautiful. This game grabbed me from that first death blow I hit, and I knew I was going to be seeing it through. I ended up platinuming the game, and I have about 120 hours in at this point, and I really just loved every second of it, other than Lady Butterfly. But we'll get to that later. For now, I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy my review of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Alright, so we'll start with the pros of the game. The first big one is the fluidity in combat. Like, this game's combat system is so smooth. I've never played another game that flows like a smooth river as much as this game does, because oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's a lot of fun to play, and it's really difficult to learn, but once you get it, it just clicks. And the game's not hard anymore, it's just really fun. You get that main character syndrome and just run through every boss as if they're a play toy, and it's so much fun. Another really cool thing is the artwork of this game. I really like this era of Japan, and they did a good job making the fights very spectacular and big, and it's just really cool to see all the different stuff that they did. A pro and also a con, we'll get to that later, is the difficulty. Souls-like games are notorious for being very hard, but what I like about that is it pushes you to become better than you thought you could be. I know personally for me, Lady Butterfly took me 3 straight days to beat, and once I finally got her, it was the greatest moment of my life. I stood up and screamed in my house. I was running all over the place and very excited because it was such a monumental thing. I didn't think I would get past her, and I did. And using Genichiro actually as a benchmark is really cool to show how far you've come as a player. Because you start in that opening scene in a seemingly hopeless fight against Genichiro, which is, I guess, a scripted loss. But then you come back and you fight him a second and possibly third time, and usually that's when things start to click into place, and you can just fight him very easily, you control the tempo, and it's just so much fun. Genichiro's really a favorite boss of mine. Whenever I just want to throw on Sekiro and just have some fun, that's the game, or the boss fight that I tend to lean to. Another thing I really enjoy is how the style is so different from other Souls games. In other Souls games, you can kind of gimp out of actually being good by getting over-leveled or getting really overpowered equipment and just cheesing the shit out of bosses. And there are ways to cheese bosses in this game, like with Genichiro and Owl, you can trap them in that doorway that you can't see right now because I'm facing the wrong way, but you can trap them in there and then they essentially can't fight back. But for a lot of the things, the only solution really is get good. There's no really cheap moves in programming that you tend to find in Elden Ring, in my opinion, in Bloodborne, where it's just stuff that just feels too hard and your character can't really counter it perfectly. But I really just loved the flow of this game. And on top of abilities that you have, the prosthetics are just awesome. They're so much fun to use. Once again, kind of mentioning the cheese factor, the firecrackers stun almost every boss. So if you're ever really struggling, you can just throw those down and then beat the crap out of any dude while he can't see. A cheap method, but I've done it and it works. It'll get you through your first playthrough. But there's just so many cool options. You can cover your enemy in oil and then light them on sacred fire. There's the umbrellas that let you get out of any type of damage. A nuke could be dropped on you and it would just cancel it, null and void. There's so many cool options and abilities for different types of playstyles and counters with the prosthetics, and it's just a lot of fun. More abilities you get are the skill trees, which unlock the Makiri counter, which is so incredibly helpful. It allows you to counter thrust attacks, and then ascending and descending carp, which makes Makiri counter better, and oh, the Mortal Blade, my favorite thing in this game. Oh my gosh. The Mortal Blade is beautiful to watch, beautiful to use. It deals so much freaking damage. It is unfair, and I love the hell out of it. It is my favorite thing in the world. I wish I could own an actual Mortal Blade, but then I'd also be dead, so maybe I don't. Another thing is, it actually has a pretty good story. It's not, like, gonna be a jaw-breaking, mind-blowing, like Red Dead Redemption 2 storyline, but it's actually a pretty cool storyline to follow. I personally really like it. A lot of the... I'm working on Elden Ring right now. I'm pretty close to the end, and this story's not my favorite. It feels like... I don't know. I just don't care that much. But a shinobi sworn to protect his... prince? I think Kuro is a prince. But sworn to protect Kuro, and then eventually has to decide between obeying his father or breaking the shinobi code. It's... just such an interesting thing. I just got freaking blasted by Genichiro. But yeah, I love so many aspects of this game, and it will always hold a dear place in my heart. But it is not perfect, and we will move on to the cons now. And yes, we will. So, the cons of this game, starting off, it can be a little bit hard to navigate the map. I might just be a blockhead, but I got spun around quite a bit, and had to look up guides many times to find locations, find new ones, return to the same ones that I've been at before. So maybe I'm just really stupid. It's entirely possible, but I found the map just a little confusing. Another thing, con here can be the difficulty. I know I talked about it as a positive, and it's definitely a big selling aspect of the Souls-like games. But it can also be a bit of a con. Some areas feel too difficult, and they just aren't fun to go through. Oh, fell there. But, like I was saying, some can be just very difficult. They're not really fun to go through. It feels like they just throw in a lot of enemies for the sakes of making it very difficult, and it's just not enjoyable to do. Some fights are very bad, which brings me to my next point, the dual ape fight. My god, does this fight suck. The Guardian Ape fight isn't that terrible. I was really bad at it for a while, but I actually ended up learning to enjoy it a good amount, and I really love that fight now, especially the second phase, because it's so easy. But the dual ape fight is just brutal. I know some people said they never really struggled with it, but I am not one of those people. You're in a small cave area fighting two apes, and the camera screws you over quite a bit. The apes have movesets that don't really play nicely together. Oh, I love this kill. I hit a Makiri counter. Sakura dance into the death blow. Freaking love it. But anyways, they have movesets that just don't play nicely with each other, and it really feels like just a garbage fight. It wasn't made well, it's not enjoyable. It's not a run ender, but it's something I deliberately try to avoid every time I do a new playthrough. Another aspect of that fight that was bad was the camera, which can also be bad in other aspects of the game too, in other areas. There aren't a terribly large amount of times where the camera is really abysmal, but when it is, it's bad. What in the hell am I doing right now? but when the camera's bad, it's really bad, and it'll screw you over. Every now and then, the lock-on will just decide not to work and be like, we want to look at this rock right now. But, yeah, works great most of the times, but every now and then it'll just glitch out and really just kicks you in the ass. Another big thing about this game that I am not a fan of were the terror mechanics. So there are many statuses like fire, shock. One of them was terror, and I really did not like terror. So basically some enemies on terror buildup, it does damage. I'm not sure if it does for all of them, but it's non-physical. But for most of them, they have you have a little terror bar, and you can do two things to counter it. There's oh, I forgot what it's called. Shit. Alright, we're back. I did a quick little Google search and remembered that it was called the Pacifying Agent and the Purple Gourd. And they just help build up your resistance to terror and it proccing. And it just really sucks, because when terror does proc, it just instantly kills you, and I've lost many a fight because of that. It's not prevalent enough that it's like an inhibiting part of the game, but when you do encounter it, I know for me, it's always like, oh shit, I kind of hate this. But aside from that, our last point here is going to be actually the lore of the game. I said it was a pro, but it is also a con, because the lore of this game is really cool and intricate, but in my opinion, a lot of the details are very hard to come across. Unless you really go out searching for these pieces of lore, you're probably not going to find them, and you gotta, like, make a frickin' Google Doc and put all the pieces together, and I don't know. When I play, I like to turn my brain off and just be spoon-fed information, which is why I kind of didn't connect with the lore here as much. I had to actually watch some multiple YouTube videos about it, where other people put in the hard work and effort to piece together all the lore, because it really is like a bunch of puzzle pieces. There'll be random information in some random item or object, which is really cool to, like, have your lore be immersed in the world, and you have to work for it, but like I said, I like to just shut off my brain and just get the full story, hook, line, and sinker, spoon-fed to me. But yeah, all things considered, Sekiro is a very strong game. I really enjoyed playing it. I can't recommend it enough. It was the first Souls-like game that I've ever played, and it got me into the series, playing Elden Ring right now, and a little bit of Bloodborne, and having a lot of fun. I still come back to Sekiro to just beat some bosses and get a good old smile on my face, because I really enjoy this game. The combat is smooth, it's a very aesthetically pleasing game, and man is it fun to get those death blows. So, I cannot recommend getting this game enough. It's a real fun one. Pretty sure it won Game of the Year, I want to say, but it's a great one. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll let you guys witness me finish off Lady Butterfly. And, see you in the next one. Bye.
Come